difficulties, right? Because what else is T1 going to throw you? It doesn't really feel like they've been tested yet in draft in this specific series.
Yeah, I think for Weibo, if you have anything left, any secret pick, any different strategy, it's time to just throw it out there and see if it's going to work, because they have been dominated by T1 through both the first and second game. They tried that kind of splash into AD ended up selling the Kerchi Shard. I don't think it really accomplished anything. They've seen some little different looks. We saw that the Senna plus the Glista, that didn't really work for them either. So if there's anything left for Weibo, you got to bring it out now.
Is it the Emperor of Shurima, though? And it is. It's going to be locked in for Xiaohu. This is his oldest signature pick from even back when I was casting the LPL. He was definitely a lover of this one. And speaking of lovers, the duo themselves going to be locked in here by T1. Favorites of them also.
Really big pivot here coming out from T1. I was actually thinking about the Kalista. That to me seemed like a pickup that could come through, but with the Renata gone, doesn't look like they want to prioritize it quite the same way. I would love the Poppy. I think that Poppy Azir specifically is a really strong combo, and it's also one of Weiwei's best champions. We'll see what Oner ends up picking up into it, but I do think that Weibo are kind of forced to pick up a bot lane here to prevent getting banned out.
Yeah, and they're clearly not sure if they want to go for Poppy here, so they're just buying themselves a little bit more time. They do grab Varus, and will it be a full bot lane to answer, or will he go towards that Poppy? Because I agree, Weiwei, it is his best champion. It's great as an answer into the Rakan. It answers a lot of the meta top laners that we're seeing today as well. But there is that risk of, if you don't grab your bot laner now, you could get banned out, and potentially things could go terrible in the bottom lane.
No, you're exactly right. Well, speaking of the bottom lane, a lot of pressure here if the Heimerdinger is going to be locked in, but instead it's the Bard, and this is a big question on a lot of people's minds. Is Crisp happy to bring this one out? It's one of the ones that Keria has looked fantastic on, and now it's going to be Crisp's turn at the champion. See whether it is going to work out here, as now the shoe is on the T1 foot.
It is an interesting pick, but generally I like Bard as the later pick in the draft. When you have multiple immobile carries, I think it's really strong. But now T1 can just go champions that have dashes, that have the ability to actually avoid this ultimate. And already you have a call. You can dodge it with your R, you can dodge it with your E, you can have the speed up from your W to move out of it. So there's a lot of ways already there. Plus Xayah can ult for ult. That's not the best trade, but this is not like an Ashe or Iana type team that Bard, I think, is going to have an incredible amount of success into. So even if Crisp has a good game, I don't think that really guarantees you anything with the pick from this angle.
And I was actually looking towards the Sylas, even with no Maokai yet being picked up. We've seen that be a really popular counter pick into the Azir. It is going to be the Akali instead. Obviously does suffer a little bit more in lane, but once you get to the side lane, incredible amount of damage that can come out, and we've seen T1 use any form of side lane pressure really well within the series thus far. Also do note, with the Varus already being there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Weibo try to do the same thing that T1 have done into a lot of these Xayah Rakan lanes, which is go very bot focused, right? Because we already have the Varus and the Bard. We don't know what the jungler is going to be, and they want to deny the Wukong as a way to reliably getting to that backline.
And if the Poppy is banned away, which is the champion that's most fun to play, it is going to be the Lee Sin. And once again, Oner is going to be on his signature pick. And now, with counter pick going towards either technically, you know, Zeus or Faker, but probably Zeus. A difficult choice now for the Shy. Does he run it back third time in a row? Bel'Veth going to be locked in here. The Shy thinking about the electric rat, and it is going to be the cannon locked in. Now, what is the answer from Zeus?
It could just be something like a Gnar if he wants to play it a little bit more safe. I do think you want to be pretty careful about what you're playing into a Kennen plus a Bel'Veth. A lot of times we've seen it heavy on the invades, heavy on that top side pressure. Something like a Gnar, you know, would keep you relatively safe, but the Aatrox, this is a confident pick. I feel like if he's going Aatrox into the Kennen Bel'Veth, that is some scary stuff, but Zeus has been playing out of his mind this entire series, and we'll have to see if it's going to work for them. But I respect Weibo taking a big pivot here, right? They go towards comfort with the Azir. They go towards something very different on the top side with the Kennen Bel'Veth. They go towards Bard. They can move around the map. They can set up fights. They can be able to try to potentially, you know, group up around this Bel'Veth, invade Oner heavily, and see if they can find a way into this series.
And in the previous games, and in a lot of the games where T1 have looked as dominant as they did, it's all about the lane prio. Do they have early laning leads? Can they push those to the furthest? When I look at the lanes here, that's not going to be the case. Even if Zeus and Faker played a matchup extremely well, for the first 6 levels at the very least, barring any major Oner or Keria interference, you're not going to have the best of times. Same for bot lane, Varus Bard, going to be really tough to deal with. So I do think that Weibo have a lot of prio setup, and compare that or add the Bel'Veth to that, might be their opportunity to find their way back into the series.
No, I agree. I think pivoting away from these Maokai drafts that we've seen over and over again is going to be a breath of fresh air for this team, and that's precisely what they need with their backs this far against the wall in the World Final.
And I think more than anything, they need a good start, right? They need a confidence booster. They need something to go right for them early here that they can rally around, that they can build that confidence in, and really just try to get into a comfort zone, because they have looked nervous, they have looked uncomfortable. T1, from the time they walked out on the stage, looked cool, calm, collected, and it has showed in their play.
It absolutely has, and I just want to see some play that is going to show me why Danny had such a huge grin on his face when he was walking back from the coach's booth with the team. And here we are to find out on to the Rift for game number 3. Match point for T1 as they are up 2-0 in this series. See whether they're going to be ending the World Final in this one, or whether Weibo Gaming can bring us to at least a game 4.
And T1 themselves know that just being at match point, not going to be enough.
And you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming, grab the exclusive Braum W emote. We might not be able to say this again, so just make sure
do it now.
You do it now.
You gotta be quick.
Yeah.
Well, you don't, but you know, you do got to do it.
Yeah, you should do it.
I mean, you can also do it post-finals, right?
Right, but as long as you do it, that's
the important part.
Yeah.
Need that emote.
Yeah.
And I think that we saw last year with the run that DRX was able to make, that just being in a rough position, looking like you're down and out, that in of itself doesn't mean that the series is lost. And I think we see it both in T1, how much more, as you were saying, calm and collected, not just when they came out, but particularly when you see them. And this also goes back to the series against JDG, where even when they got the early wins, there was no apparent joy, right, that you'd expect, because they know just because you're up 2-0 doesn't mean that if Weibo doesn't get this game, gets a good angle in draft, can bring it back.
And look at this start here from T1. It was Oner starting over on the Raptors, and he actually got leashed on Raptors by Zeus because they were so nervous about that potential invade that Bel'Veth teams have been doing so often. Also worth noting that Crisp, level 1, ran straight top and gave a lane ward to the Shy, which is going to deny the ability for Zeus to poke in and out of that brush, drop aggro, be able to hide and use that. So really emphasizing that play towards the top side. And we'll see where Weiwei does want to go, because he is just power farming on his bot side for now. So we'll be clearing up towards top, but no sort of a move towards an invade.
Yep, going to be able to finish off his red buff. We'll then get things sorted as Faker here on his 5th unique champion of the tournament, as we have a look at all of the lanes so far. Weibo actually with great position as far as tempo and control is concerned.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. This should be heavily in favor of Weibo. We do see Faker is able to put in a little bit of pressure. I think that's partially because they're not 100% certain where Oner is. I don't think he was tracked early on, but both for the Shy and for Crisp and Light, they're able to find the early leads. Now the question is, can they maybe set up, say, a double scuttle or get an early back? The Shy also did go for Call, so is looking to try and play as aggressively as possible while naturally being able to get ahead just by the virtue of cashing out.
Yep, Light getting some Bel'Veth wards in there as well, just to give Weiwei the opportunity to get towards the enemy jungle. Right now, he is just finishing off his top side. Is going to be able to get that one through, and then it is Rift Scuttlers that we're looking at as T1 moving a little bit further forward is Keria, but not going to be punished too hard, just loses 50% of his health bar. And we are just going to see Weiwei on this ward for T1. So vision given over, some information there. T1 do gather in this early stage.
And it could mean Oner goes top, because now you know that the jungler can't be there to answer, so there is a potential angle to look for him. And he did just use his lightning rush, so I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, there's the flash Q3 from Zeus. The Shy is in trouble. The lightning rush is on cooldown. He gets slowed down by the cripple, and the Q's going to land. Oner secures it, and that is first blood for T1.
It's perfect timing from T1, and it's all because of the Raptors ward. It was a clear top to bot from Weiwei, but he wrapped down to try to go towards that bot side scuttle. As soon as they saw him on that ward, they knew they could go for it on top side. Zeus, no hesitation, starts it off with the flash in. But without that E from Kennen, there's just no way you're going to get out of that long lane.
And we will see if Weiwei is able to maybe make a play towards bot side as Oner making his way over to mid.
Yeah, it's going to safeguard forward there as Faker dashes in, and Xiaohu will survive. Faker just barely managing to walk away as now they come in. Oh, the grand entrance, phenomenal from Keria. We'll see whether he can survive though. He's trying to get out, the piercing arrow will do it. And Weibo Gaming even out the scoreline.
Light knocks him down. That was a big kill for them on the bot side. They need something to rally around, and perhaps it is Light in this potentially final game.
Tell you what, that was a pretty cool looking grand entrance though.
And I gotta say, Weibo, again, to me, he is the guy that makes it happen. I think he's been the player that has really impressed me the most here on Weibo. He keeps trying to make these plays, and it's been kind of the saving grace for Weibo in the early game with how much they've been pressured.
And you have to say, it's really concerning to see the Shy die top lane once again here with how Zeus has been playing. If you cannot keep this guy down, he is just on fire. But it is Zeus with no flash, and it is Crisp up on top side. But missing his Ignite, I don't know that you can really go into this wave and try to fight him.
And Zeus is going to get some vision down on top of the ward that Weibo already have. And they know that this is where they need to defend, right? You can see the Shy with a couple of wards already invested here towards this top side. Now underneath this turret, Zeus finding these little cues. Magical Journey, definitely a possibility, and Weiwei wants to take it with Crisp here. Let's see whether they can get an angle. 3 versus 1. He does try and get out. There's the World Ender. He's trying to avoid all of this CC, and it's not going to work. There's the kill for Weiwei.
Really good communication there for Weibo. They know that Zeus wants to try and get the wave in, so the Shy is setting himself up as juicy bait, and Zeus takes it.
But the question is, how much do you lose bot side? Because we talked about Light as the hope in this game. Light now is going to be fully zoned off the wave. They lose the Dragon as well, because there was so much time spent topside. They're going to lose at least 1 plate bot, maybe 2, and likely most of, if not all of this wave, because he's totally zoned off until Crisp arrives. So, yes, they do get a kill on top side, but T1 are taking a lot down here on bot as well.
And it's not going to be a Cloud Soul this time around, gentlemen. It is going to be Cloud Drake coming up second, so we will get a different Soul. We'll see what that is going to be a little bit later on. Zeus comes back up towards this top side, about 20 CS down. So the top lane that Weibo have been focusing on is kind of working out, but like you're talking about, so much is going to hinge around Light. Does still have a CS advantage. That bottom side certainly is somewhere that T1 can play through.
And this is also where the early kill in Light, I think, makes a really big difference, because the fact that he was able to get that kill means that even with him having to give up some of his laning lead and Gumayusi picking up a plate, still going to be in a great position. Keria, though, now taking control, as we do have Weiwei here again.
Yeah, Control Ward has come in, of course. Crisp, he can make these tunnels. So they are a little bit closer than you might otherwise expect, but no, not going to pull the trigger on anything, understanding that T1 have full information of what's going on.
Exactly. They knew they've been spotted. They're not sure where Oner is on the map right now, so it would be a risky play if Oner is shadowing them. He is level 6, so Weiwei just going to keep his farm up as much as he possibly can and re-clear that bot side jungle. But Faker, time and time again, has just been pushing out, moving into the enemy jungle, getting a ward down, and now pulls the wave to push towards him. So that entire wave is going to be denied from Xiaohu as it comes in towards Faker, and that's going to even out a lot of the CS in that mid lane.
We can also see that Oner is in that area as well, so setting up for a potential gank. You can see Crisp going to come up, try and make sure that this mid lane is going to be sorted out. And with this wave pretty prepped, this is going to be a very satisfying queue. Oh, Faker doesn't even let us see it.
He just wants to deny even more CS if he can, and now Zeus cheating down. They're trying to get vision on where Weiwei is, and they know he's not going to be in the topside jungle. Oner is there, Zeus is there, Keria is there as well, so they can now move up and potentially start up this Rift Herald, because they do have Prio.
And Zeus now back towards his top side with Oner in tow, wanting to get a little bit of revenge. And even though First Blood came in, the Shy still has a CS advantage. Lightning Rush to get him out of there as Oner just mini-stun, kick into the wall. That is going to be the execution, but the ultimate is going to be there from the Shy. And after the flash, he will survive, and now it's Weiwei's turn. Can he actually get this one as Oner about 50%? The safeguard to try and get out the flash, but the knock-up, it's still there, and Crisp comes in for the kill. They get some knock-up. Zeus will survive, but not the least in. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, the Blade Caller not quite there for Gumayusi. Picture in picture, as you can see, and Faker looking for a little bit more. He connects the backflip, or the shuriken of the backflip, and isn't going to be able to find too much more. So, Weibo should be able to get themselves this Rift Herald.
Really important moment here, because with Belv, if you want to get those early Heralds, it's the Shy actually turning it around this time, staying alive for long enough for reinforcements to come in. Oner and Zeus don't actually get to 100-0, and that is the Herald going over to Weiwei.
Yeah, Light just staying his ground. And when you do have the lethal tempo Varus, have to be a little bit scared if you are Gumayusi. So he's going to be going back, but still, just a trade of ghosts in the end.
Very close stuff. I mean, both of them had committed their ults in that previous exchange where Guma was chasing him down in that bot lane. But this is Weibo on the brink of despair here in a match point game, being able to stay alive. Nice sidestep on that Q from the Shy was so clean as he flashes out, but not so far to let them out of that ultimate. Weiwei goes in, everyone is piling up here, but it's Crisp who arrives first.
And it's the failed flash from Oner, right? Just on the edge, sets it up easily for Crisp. Even if he does hit that, I don't know if he gets out because he still has to walk past the wall. Crisp might have been able to clip him with how well he has been playing in this game. And a really big win for Weibo because they're already ahead in gold, but the fact that they will be able to utilize this Herald for a really big game in the side lane with the pressure that it gives the Bel'Veth, going to be a really big win.
You can see the Stridebreaker complete now for Weiwei as well. Having that Mythic really powerful on this champion. You queue up on top of them, you slow them down. That sets up your W very, very nicely. And you can usually get a full E channel with that. So we'll see if Weiwei can stay aggressive and if they can keep the Shy in this power position that he has created slightly for himself, you know, not obviously at a massive advantage, and Zeus doing as Zeus always does, building lethality.
Yep, he does very much like to have a bit of burst on this Aatrox, but I like that Weibo have just stuck to their game plan, right? They're playing around topside, they're getting the Shy, like you say, into these positions, and even though Zeus isn't necessarily ridiculously far behind, as you can see in the CS, it's pretty close, but still, the Shy will have these very impactful ultimates, and Weiwei is the benefactor here, sitting at 1-0 and 2. Able to get some control on this Bel'Veth, and we know she can be devastating if she gets ahead.
And it's just been kind of this return to more what Weibo showed us in the LPL, this play towards topside, this focus on the Shy. It hasn't been about going towards Light and Crisp, and potentially that is because Guma and Keria are so hard to attack in a lot of these situations.
Oh, Q going to connect there. Nice little knock-up as Keria tries to find it. There's the quickness onto 2. The kick gets the knock-up onto Xiaohu. The Empress Divide only gets Oner, but that will get him out. But Weiwei's not going to be so lucky. The Shy got in here, and now he might be in trouble. He breaks the chains, but is he still going to be able to get out? Gumayusi decides he wants to fight Light towards the bottom side. That was the right call. Zeus grabs the double kill, and Weibo lose out on the fight.
And while the laning setup is there this time around for Weibo, their early game looking a lot better. The skirmishes, they're still not able to make work, although teleport coming in.
Yeah, teleport from this top side of the river. Xiaohu coming in, looking for the opportunity, doesn't have the ultimate. They secure the Drake as T1. Grand Entrance not going to find the target there. Onto Crisp as the Tempered Fate comes in. Faker trying to play bouncer to keep his team alive. And the ultimate doesn't really work out here from Crisp. Still, they don't lose too much, even though Xiaohu is on the other side of the map. And they're buying time for the fact that there is just a guy on the top side of the map taking plates.
Yeah, they can't get anything. It's a great ulti from Crisp, but no one is there to follow it up. And as you say, Chronicler, again, it's T1 out skirmishing Weibo, who were in that power position coming into this fight, it felt like, but T1 just preempt the play. They press the go button, they find that engage, and they push Weibo out of there. And it's Keria and Oner grouping up and starting this off.
And initially you see Weibo wanting to try and look for something here, but Keria with his charm buys so much time, and then the moment that Faker hits that E on Weiwei, his fate is sealed, flashes over the wall just to die to Zeus, actually giving him the reset. And then this is the point where already as Weibo, you have this incredibly strong like level 6 comp with the Shy, with your ultimate, and they just don't get to use it.
Yeah, and that's just T1 really understanding their position in this game. They find the opportunity, they force the engage. That's one of the really powerful things you can do against comps like Ken comps, where you just get on this guy, you put him under pressure, you force him to use his ultimate in a situation that he doesn't want, just almost defensively, as they were able to there. And it just means that Weibo now losing that second dragon. This one's going to be an Ocean Soul available, which would be pretty devastating, I think, for their chances. It would mean that the Shy is not going to be able to play through sides at all.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other side, if there was some control here for Weibo, then they can utilize this Varus poke very expertly, right? You can play in that neutral effectively if you can get themselves some of these dragons. 4 of them would seem pretty good, but it also feels a little bit like a pipe dream at this stage. You have a look at the gold, though. 300 still in advantage of Weibo. No first turret to go down just yet as the plates fall. Not too many of them going over, but we're having a look at the amount of Drakes that have been stacked, and the fact that T1 once again have a bit of control on this map, I think, is the problem.
They have been dominating the objective game all day. It has felt like Weibo rarely able to really, get a foot in, it feels like, at these critical objective fights. The setups from T1 have been better. They have been more prepared when these fights are going to break out. And you can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, once again, Zeus now is ahead. And that is going to be so tough for the Shy, because you really are dependent upon these early game leads that you build up as a Kennen to be able to play through sides later on.
And Zeus also has been, not historically, right, has actually had an issue with that, but domestically, outside of finals, been so consistent in, even when he is behind, generating value. I remember a Jace game where he went like 0-3 early on. Yep. He was still able to output insane amounts of damage, and now he is playing the lethality Aatrox yet again, the only one who consistently has had success with this specific build.
Oh, Keria just gonna get out of the way.
For Weibo, this Herald to me is kind of a must-win. You need to get that, need to break open the map. We'll see if they're able to get it done.
And Weibo are going to have to count on their carries. Xiaohu, Light in a good spot here. Xiaohu has been able to make it happen at many international tournaments. 3 MSI titles for this guy, but Worlds thus far has not been as much about him as it has the others. And maybe this is the time now that he can step up on this Azir, on this comfort pick. Maybe can make that big play that can claw this series back for Weibo, because T1 are coming and they're looking for a fight.
Yep, they're seeing what they can do here as Faker moving into Fog of War. Potential teleport angle here as Light. I don't think he's going to be able to get through that way, but still, Weibo with the Shy on the flank angle. He has Flash available, and now the teleport comes in behind him. Faker wanting to find his angle in. They don't get the knock-up. A little bit of mistiming there from Weiwei, as the Rift Herald is going to reset. She heads back into the pit, and Weibo going to have to start over.
But still, Light could never actually move from mid lane over, because these wards are actually covering his move through the river. He can't actually get over there. He would get engaged on by Keria. He knew it. He read the play, but Weibo can't commit to the Herald without their AD carry being able to join.
At this very least, though, Weibo do force Faker his TP. Doesn't get to just push to his heart's content towards that bot side of the map. See if they want to continue trying to contest there, because it looks like T1 not really that interested in the Herald themselves, but very interested in ensuring that Weibo don't pick it up and looking for a fight angle if they do try to commit to it.
You can understand it. Of course, Bel'Veth does quite like securing those Heralds. Crown now complete. Xiaohu moving towards his Nash's Tooth. Not necessarily the most damage, but will have a lot of consistent impact in a lot of these fights as well. And avoiding getting burst down, certainly going to be very, very strong. As Faker picks up this top wave closer to Herald, does make a lot of sense. And we've got 1 second on this Dragon, which is where T1 are going to put their attention. Crisp gets over the wall with a tiny little magical journey. It's going to work out, though.
Yeah, they are going to be able to have the inside track on this Dragon. Faker was up on the top side, has no TP, so he has to run down. As Xiaohu has pushed in bot, the Shy will answer topside, but they don't really have any deep wards for him to TP to, so if he does join, it will be very much so on Weibo's side of the fight.
Yeah, Faker just going to backflip away from the knockup from Weiwei. So Weibo not going to find too much there. As Oner in the river. Zeus just clearing out this Gromp, wanting to get some control back in. Looks like T1 happy to start off this Drake, although it's not behaving itself all that much. Keria, with all of his buttons up and available, the engage potential is going to be there. Control ward just eviscerated here. As T1 trying to do the same thing. Teleport now to come forward. As Zeus on that flank angle. The Shy now here. And Gumayusi pretty safe now on that back line.
Look at Keria, though. It's so hard for Weibo to walk up because Keria is on that sideline. They know he's there.
Yeah, he flashes in. He finds himself. The charm on the fours. There is the ultimate from the Shy, but it just doesn't quite do enough. They try and get out, but Faker has the perfect execution and locks down his fellow ninja. Xiaohu now taking a whole lot of damage, and Faker is in the shroud. He's toying with him. It's a double kill. What? Oner! And back in again. It's a triple for Faker. Zeus is going to be able to help lock down the next one. Faker eventually goes down, but it's 4 for him and Keria.
And that is T1 turning the situation around. Their health bars are low. Not all of Weibo's cooldowns actually hit the mark, but it doesn't matter. They're still looking pretty good. If only they could take down Faker. But they don't. The reinforcements come in, and T1 set up Soul Point.
They just can't. Light fishes with the Q, won't get it. It's T1, 1 game from the World Championship. It's T1, 1 Dragon from Soul. and Keria gets spotted. He says, great, I'm going to engage. Both your soul laners are stacked up. Keria goes right in, knocks them both up. The Bard ulti comes through there. I think it was meant to protect the Shy and Xiaohu, but it kind of backfired as it immuned the ulti coming through from the Shy.
And from Xiaohu, that was 2 ultimates that just didn't find their mark. The anti-synergy, really rough for Weibo here with their backs against the wall. They just don't find the angle, and that is soul point set up. A triple kill for Faker on Akali, a champion that, well, of course, we knew he could play, but we hadn't seen this year just yet.
I tell you what, it's pretty poignant seeing him play Sylas and Akali in this series, though, after what happened last year. Just showing that it doesn't really matter what the meta's like. Faker's there. There is always going to be an opportunity. Just kind of cute after what had happened.
I mean, the man is the meta. This guy has been around forever, and it is so impressive to see how well he is playing, because I don't think you could make the argument that he has been the best performing mid laner individually since 2017. This year, you can make that argument. He has been tearing it up. He's been great in lane, has really been impressive in team fights, and it just feels like a rejuvenated Faker.
And he goes again, as now Oner looking for that opportunity as well. Backflip connects also as the perfect execution comes forward. Has he overstepped? The answer is no, because he had the stopwatch anyway, and now the cavalry comes in. Crisp, the next to go down. Wei. He's under a turret. Zeus flashes on top. The lethal Aatrox gonna get it done, and T1, they feel like it's Baron time.
It's the king at home. Respect the name. Faker, the greatest of all time. Styling on him in Seoul.
And Light desperately trying to get something going here. Not going to be the case.
He's not going to be allowed to, because Faker wants to keep his whole house alive as well, but it's not going to work out. He goes into the Shroud. I don't know whether this is necessarily the fight that you want to take, but Xiaohu's going to turn up. Faker is going to get out. The Baron secured here for T1 on all 5 members as we tick just past 21 minutes.
And as we take another look here, you see how ready T1 is, right? Everyone already on their way. And this cannon, not in the greatest of spots, uses his ultimate only on Faker, stays alive with the stopwatch, and then that ultimate from Chris doesn't hit the mark.
And how clean is that from Oner? I think it was a drive-by smite kill as he had queued Wei, going past the cannon, smites him down out of the air. Everyone from T1, they are feeling it. They know they are potentially 1-2 fights away from claiming this elusive title. That this team, that now is the roster with the most international games played together all time of any roster in history, has not been able to claim that title. They are getting so damn close to it.
Incredibly. It's just over 4,000 gold the lead. They have Soul Point available as well. And Keria showing absolute mastery on this Rakan as well. This is something that he has been extraordinarily feared on, and this was, in fact, when we were touting Gumayusi and Keria as the greatest bottom lane in the world, it was when they were playing champions like this. It's when they were flexing the meta so incredibly much, but Keria's engages always absolutely fantastic. We'll see whether he can utilize those alongside this extraordinary play that we've already seen from Zeus and Oner in the previous games, and especially Faker here in this one.
And this is the moment, I think, for Xiaohu in particular. You need to find a hero play. You need to get multiple people. And it's really hard because, as we see, the Baron power play for T1, upwards of 2k gold. They're setting up for an Ocean Soul in about a minute. And everyone on T1 has so much mobility. But if they don't find a play like that and the game plays out the way it has, there is just no way. You need to get a Xiaohu to Shy Wombo combo, possibly set up by Crisp, and give Light an opportunity to pop off, because otherwise T1's going to get Soul, they're going to get the next Baron, and they're going to win the series. And Keria
gonna get knocked up here as Oner comes on over. He's here to protect his support. The quickness ties them all up, and Xiaohu going to be the next target. He finds 2 with the Emperor's Divide, but Crisp just evaporates. Wei going to suffer the same fate as Zeus is on the warpath. Light able to sidestep, finds the Chains of Corruption, but there's not enough damage. Xiaohu decent flash to try and get himself out, but he's not out of the woods yet as Faker tidies up that kill, and they are just so far ahead. Oner secures Light with a Sonic Wave, and the Shy finds himself alone heading back towards his base. That's the double kill. That's the clean ace for T1.
And T1, Weibo try, they know they have to contest this dragon, they have to contest the soul, but they're not even given the opportunity. They thought they got Keria, but Keria says, come get me.
And it looks to me like they're going to take this inhibitor and move back. It may not be the end of the series, but it might be the last moment that Weibo felt hope in it. As Crisp clearing out some control vision. Oner wants to grab himself a soul to finish this game off on.
And T1 are just on fire. All 5 players in this final game here, potentially playing out of their minds. They are 5 brains, 1 player. It's like everything is perfectly coordinated. They think they've caught Keria, but everyone from T1 piles in lightning fast. Oner is here. Zeus pops the ulti fast for the move speed from the top side. Faker coming in from the bottom. T1 collapses from every angle, and Weibo are wiped from the map.
And there's nothing to do, right? The moment that they're not able to 100-0 anyone on T1, as soon as reinforcements arrive, you're gonna get blown up. And the gold leads, as Light desperately tries to at least get Zeus, won't even get that.
It's heartbreaking as now they take a magical journey over Zeus. He likes this one though, 1 versus 3. He's absorbing so much, the Emperor's Divide. It comes in, but he's still alive. What is going on? Faker Tiny Thunder burst. Everyone's just exploding as Weiwei trying to get something done, but it does not matter. T1 are too strong.
4 times T1 has lost in a Game 5. 4 times they've been knocked out, and 4 times they have got back up for this moment.
It was 7 years since their last, a decade since their first. The SKT legacy has been reignited. T1 will be your 2023 world champions.